Hello and welcome to Brainwaves episode 164, bringing you the best in tabletop gaming news. I'm Ian McAllister.
And I'm Jamie Adams, and these are the headlines for the week of Monday, the 30th of June, 2025. Hasbro says people have to go. D&D designers score a critical role, and DrivethruRPG hates rebels. All this and more on this episode of Brainwaves.
Hasbro, the parent company of Wizards of the Coast, has cut its global workforce by 3%. This equates to about 150 jobs lost across the company. According to a report in the Wall Street Journal, the company is looking to save up to $1 billion over the next few years due to the impact of global tariffs on its global trade. A Hasbro spokesperson said of the move,
"We are aligning our structure with our long-term goals."
Back in April of this year, Chris Cox, Hasbro CEO, warned that the company would face challenges from the tariffs.
Ultimately, tariffs translate into higher consumer prices and potential job losses as we adjust to absorb increased costs and reduced profit for our shareholders.
Hasbro last laid off a large number of employees in 2023 when they fired about 1,900 people over the course of that year, including 1,100 in the run-up to Christmas.
I'm sorry, can I just pull very quickly? Reduced profit for our shareholders. Cry me a river.
Yeah, how about you just let people keep their jobs and those shareholders have a little bit less profit? But of course, that's how corps are going to corpse. Yep, lovely. Just, yeah.
And thus, the machine of capitalism is oiled by the blood of the workers. But we're not a political podcast.
I mean, we are, so that's fine. But we're going to stick with Hasbro for a moment for our next story.
It has been announced that two of the team members behind the current edition of Dungeons & Dragons have ended up in new positions at Darrington Press, the publishing arm of Critical Role. Critical Role started out as a Dungeons & Dragons actual play series in 2013, starring professional voice actors and actors. In recent years, it's moved into publishing, and its most recent RPG, Daggerheart, is seen as a challenger to D&D's dominance of the market. Jeremy Crawford, former lead designer on D&D, and Chris Perkins, the creative director for D&D, are now working at Critical Role. They're effectively reprising their roles there, becoming game and creative director, respectively. Perkins said,
"Storytelling has always been at the heart of everything I do, and joining Darrington Press felt a bit like coming home. I've loved being a part of the extended Critical Role family as a regular guest over the years, and I'm beyond excited to help create new worlds full of adventure."
And Crawford says of their new position,
"I've always believed that great games invite everyone to the table, and that's exactly what excites me about joining Darrington Press. The team is passionate, wildly creative, and committed to building welcoming, connected, amazing story-driven experiences. I can't wait to expand on what Critical Role has already created to develop some really fun and unique games." I mean, this is an interesting move for sure. I feel like people are getting a bit overly excited about this.
Why overly
on the socials? Everyone's like, "Oh, these people moving there must mean the death of Dungeons and Dragons, and the Daggerheart will absolutely dominate." And it's like, will it? Will it? I don't think it will. I think it might be good. I played a demo of it. It was fine. It might be better than now because I was playing through a playtest document. But yeah, I feel like people are getting really excited about that, and I don't fully understand why. It's an interesting move for sure. I mean, I definitely Critical Role want that attention, getting those people to come and join them for sure.
After the OGL situation last year or 2 years ago, they've been really stepping up this to try and be their own product and be their own thing, which brings us on to a slight story thing, which is in Darrington Press are basically saying, what is it, a legal agreement that smacks of the OGL?
Yeah, there's been a little bit of a noise recently about the sort of open license for the Daggerheart, and that basically Darrington Press would kind of own your work. And a few people are saying that doesn't sound particularly great. I haven't actually looked into that one fully myself. I only just saw it the other day. So I'll look into that for our next cast and reach out to Darrington Press and Critical Role for comment as well.
Yes. But now, moving on from big corporations to little guys fighting against big government, isn't it?
Something like that.
Wait, no, it's not political. Not political, Ian.
It is political. This story comes direct to us from Rascal, which is a site we greatly admire. It's a news site mostly focused on RPGs, but doing some board game and miniature work now as well. It is behind their free subscription tier, so you would need to subscribe to read it, but because of that, we feel safe covering it. DrivethruRPG is an online RPG store that sells a wide range of RPGs, mostly PDF focused, but you can get some physical copies there as well. Recently, it's come under fire for asking one of its publishers to modify a game's language. That game is Rebel Scum, published by 9th Level Games. Roll20, the virtual tabletop used by millions, partnered with DrivethruRPG back in July of 2022. The partner relations manager for Roll20, Meredith Gerber, contacted Ninth Level Games CEO Heather O'Neill about reports that Rebel Scum had received on DriveThru's platform. Meredith said that the book passed most of their product standard guidelines, except for one section that contained overly political agendas or views. The offending section is the foreword to the book that asks if players want to
punch a space Nazi right in their stupid jackbooting space Nazi face.
It makes it clear that this is not a game for those who are vaccine deniers, bigots, white supremacists, and similar viewpoints. The page on safety rules doubles down on this, and it is here where the publisher seems to have gotten into some trouble.
While intended to be hopeful and fun, it is shining a mirror back at the post-capitalist, post-truth, post-pandemic political idiocracy that we are currently living through. I have called the Republic, so that we can say, I punched that Republican in the face. This is deliberate. I have called the Game Master, the GM, the government, TM, and the players, the next rebellion, TM. Because there's nothing scarier or more real than the corporatization of our lives, our philosophy, our entertainment, and even our dreams.
Republic in that piece is spelled Republik. The publisher argued their case to the partner relations lead at Roll20, Todd Gizzy. Todd Gizzy was going to take that and elevate it with management. 8 months later, the publisher heard from Todd and were told that Roll20 was sticking to its initial ruling. A compromise was offered to put a QR code in the digital edition that would point to the statement but not include it directly in the book. O'Neill declined. Roll20 justified this decision by saying they would have to include titles from the other side, as they put it, while admitting that overt political agendas are rather tricky to define. Director of Partner Relations at Roll20, Scott Holden, gave this quote to Rascal.
Yes, art can be political. I want to be clear that the problem in this case came from the book's foreword, not the content of the game itself. We have many games featuring Nazis or other sinister fascist organizations as the bad guys. That has never been a problem. This title crossed the line in taking a satirical game and, via the author's foreword, moving beyond satire into a real statement about hatred and violence towards the entirety of a broad political group.
Now, there are a lot of games on DrivethruRPG, honestly, and one of those games is Eat the Reich, which is a game about finding Hitler in Nazi-occupied Paris and killing him and drinking his blood as vampire commandos. And it is very, very, very explicit about the fact that Nazis are incredibly bad guys, and that Nazis, last I checked, were a political group.
Yeah,
and that you should kill Nazis and punch Nazis, and definitely not, like, you know, basically tolerate them in any way or form. So, and there must be other games on there that there's this dichotomy with. And also, this game has been on DrivethruRPG for some time. This was coming up to a new edition of the game, and it seems to have fallen foul of some rather strange rulings from DrivethruRPG. And DrivethruRPG has rightfully come under a lot of pressure for it, because you do not have to like both sides of this thing at all in any way or form. You do not have to suddenly like put white supremacist RPGs on your platform, nor should you.
No.
Yeah.
I made that very clear.
And also, this game is basically, it's Star Wars with the numbers filed off. Are you going to ban the Star Wars RPG from your platform? I don't think you are.
No, because of course that's that's not, you know, that's, you know, fiction, and that's not political in any way. And we know Star Wars is famously apolitical, and also Disney is behind that. And if there's one people you don't want to get the wrong side of, it's the Mouse's lawyers. I
mean, true. I do find it hilarious when like Star Wars fans basically become the Empire. It's pretty funny.
Yep.
Sad, but funny.
I did, after we found out the story, I went and bought Rebel Scum on itch.io. And
it's the future the woke want.
Yeah, exactly. I'm happy to be woke. And it is marketed on there as the game banned on DrivethruRPG.
Yeah, I do remember that itch exists, folks. It's a smaller platform than DriveThru, but the cut that the platform takes for publishers is a lot smaller. You can find a lot of decent publishers on there. I am on there. I've got a profile on there, and if you can go and look at that, you'll find a list of games that I recommend I've played, and you might find some reviews on there from links to the site as well. Just games I've enjoyed playing and really like. So I've got a little collection on there for that kind of thing. We do also recommend subscribing to Rascal. I am a paid member myself. You do not need to be a paid member. So. Yeah, I do not. You do not need to be a paid member to read this story, which is, again, why we felt comfortable covering it. So, yeah, do check out Rascal. Let's go to a few updates from previous casts. And Jamie, we've got some union announcements from tabletop workers.
It's an update story we've been covering for a few years now, that of the Tabletop Workers United Union in New York City. 2 years after initially organising, the group, which represents workers from 3 board game cafes, Hex & Co., The Brooklyn Strategist, and The Uncommons, totaling over 100 workers in all, have ratified their union contract in a first for the state. This document sets out, amongst other provisions, progressive pay increases, holiday pay, scheduling consistency, dignity and respect for workers' gender identity, grievance and arbitration processes, and health and safety provisions requiring management to respond effectively to sexual harassment and abusive customers. Uncommons worker Casey Nepley said of the success,
"Winning and ratifying the first Tabletop Workers United contract is truly incredible. I'm so beyond proud of my co-workers and community members. Without us working together to organise and take collective action to push ownership to meet with us, none of this would have been possible. I hope our small victory for these tabletop stores can inspire people everywhere across the country to work together and fight for what we need and deserve during this tough political climate. Our rights as workers and humans are not a game."
Now, this group has faced serious opposition since early 2024 from cafe owners Greg May and John Freeman, and their legal representative Andrew Hoffman. This opposition, as mentioned on this podcast previously and covered thoroughly by Rascal News, includes delays, Hoffman apparently calling union members fucking disgusting, moronic, and low class during negotiations, informing the bargaining committee they should all burn in hell, calling the union's demands encapsulating the absolute insanity of the woke, and Hoffman and Freeman going on holiday in the middle of negotiations. Peyton Millett, a member and worker at the Brooklyn Strategist, said,
"I'm proud and elated that we have won the first contract for tabletop workers in New York City. Our industry is a young and burgeoning one, so it's ever more crucial to secure protections and rights specific to our trade. No doubt our strongest weapons in the fight for these rights were our union's nimbleness, courage to act, and the unwavering solidarity of our customers and friends, for which we are deeply thankful. I hope that our victory can demonstrate the persistence of truths that some would seek to regulate to the past, that every workplace needs a labour union, that workers of every age, gender and race deserve just protections, and that as long as owners seek to reap value for others' labour, we must demand back our fair share."
As Casey and Peyton have said, huge thanks to the Tabletop Solidarity Committee, which was nearly 2,000 customers and local supporters who campaigned tirelessly for the workers. Congratulations to the Brainwaves team.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic to hear that they've finally secured a contract. Fantastic.
Yeah, ratification for it. Be that change you want to see in the workplace. And if you don't like the unions that you're part of or involved with, change them. Do something about it. Don't just sit there and go, they're useless. Do something.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic.
This podcast, non-political, fiercely pro-union.
But very political. That's okay. We can be political. That's fine.
Oh, I know. Don't worry. I'm just, me, political? Ian, I think you're confusing me with the other Jamie.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. Moving away from politics. Zombies.
Indeed. The opposite of politics. The other side, as it were.
Yes.
Last episode, we reported that Cool Mini or Not had started selling some of its IPs to other publishers. At the time, Simon said they had completed 2 agreements to transfer games to other publishers, but had only announced those that were going to US publisher Tabletop Tycoon. Now they've revealed that the other publisher was Asmodee, who are taking over the Zombicide franchise. Originally released in 2012, Zombicide could be seen as the birth of the modern crowdfunder board game. Since then, it has had numerous expansions and spin-offs and spawned numerous extra Kickstarters by itself. Simon, at the time of recording, still has 11 unfulfilled Kickstarters, so hopefully some of this money will go towards making sure those backers get their games. But of course it won't. It'd be nice if it did, but it's not going to. They're just going to string that out forever and use this money for something. I don't know what it is. It sounds like Simon are moving towards mostly sort of publishing and distribution. Bez from Stuff by Bez mentioned in our Discord that Cool Mini or Not in the Far East are more a sort of distributor as well, which I had not realized. So maybe they're moving more towards that kind of business model, coming away from the Kickstarters. I don't know, but Zombicide is a massive reason why Simon are the size they are. So it's really interesting to see them sell that off. Let's move on now to the news. And Jamie, we've got some awards news to start with.
The Diana Jones Award, the annual award that has a broad remit of excellence in gaming. Everything from individual games to entire conventions to a gaming concept or movement. They've been recipients of this prize. It's lovely and broad. The award has announced its finalists for this year, with the winner being announced at Gen Con later this year in America. The nominees are Charlie Hall, journalist and editor, most recently for Polygon before they laid him off. Daybreak, the board game by Matt Leacock and Matteo Menapace, published by CMYK. Rascal News, a news and reporting website that focuses on the tabletop hobby, founded by Lynn Cadega, Chase Carter, and Rowan Zioli. And Rose Este, a novelist and gamebook designer. Most famously, Rose worked on the Endless Quest series, a set of D&D gamebooks that TSR published in the 1980s. Congratulations to all the nominees, and of course we will let you know who the winner is when it is announced.
I'd personally like to see some of the journalist nominees win from a surely sort of selfish perspective, because it'd be nice to see games journalism get a little bit of, recognition.
Well, 50% of them are nominated, so that's, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations to all the nominees from me as well, and I'm sure all thinks the same. So yeah, we'll come back to that around Gen Con time and tell you who's won.
I can't remember, because I ask this every time we bring up the Diana Jones Award. What is the actual award now? Because it used to be the Perspex Pyramid.
It is still sort of a Perspex Pyramid, but so sort of it looks like as if it's been moved into the cyberpunk realm. So it's like sort of a pyramid with like lights, and it's purple and blue and stuff.
Okay,
but it's still sort of got the pyramid-y kind of shape.
For those of you unaware, the Diana Jones Award originally was a Perspex Pyramid holding a small piece of the apparently awful Indiana Jones TTRPG from, I believe, TSR. It was so bad, everyone apparently had to recall it. They pulped it all, and they kept one little piece, which had the words Diana Jones on it. They put it in the Perspex Pyramid, and about 3 or 4 years ago, it got lost in the post.
It's the E.T. of the tabletop RPG world. And if you don't know that story, go and look up E.T. computer game documentary. It's fascinating.
Oh, it's amazing. If that had not happened, Nintendo would quite literally not be where it is today.
Indeed.
So, moving away from politics, we are going to talk about politics.
In 2 Blue Sky posts dated 11th and 12th of June 2025, Elizabeth Hargrave, designer of games such as Wingspan, Mariposas, and Tussie Mussie, announced that she had spent 2 days meeting with Capitol Hill staffers to discuss how the US tariffs are affecting the board game industry. She is accompanied by members from GAMA, the Game Manufacturers Association, and the TTGDA, the Tabletop Game Designers Association. The photo that accompanied her first Blue Sky post shows Hargrave alongside board game designers Kristin Looney, most famous for the Flex series of card games, Matt Fantastic, designer of games like Aldara and Headful Roll, Molly Zeff, designer of games such as The $1 Million Doodle and Wing It, the game of extreme storytelling. In her post, Hargrave makes it clear that asking Congress to reduce or even remove tariffs isn't just a solo initiative, but a collaborative campaign. The group met with staffers in scheduled sessions and drop-bys, which are informal, unannounced visits to congressional offices on Capitol Hill to ask members of Congress to co-sponsor S-1593, a bill that exempts small businesses from the emergency tariffs declared by US President Trump on the 2nd of April. Hargrave concludes her first post by asking everyone to contact their members of Congress and ask them to co-sponsor S-1593. I mean, it's good to see some political work being done to improve the problems that the tariff situation is causing. I don't know how far they'll get, because the Trump administration does not care about, process or people or anyone listening themselves.
They don't care about. They do care about process, just maybe not due process. And this is the thing. It's, as Elizabeth said, it is not an individual.
No, absolutely not.
This is a collaborative campaign, because you need to show that it's not just one person shouting into the void. You get 100 people, 1,000 people. And if you're a board gamer or a tabletop gamer, and you might be if you listen to this, if you're not, hi there, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for stopping by. Lend your voice.
Absolutely. I mean, we can't really do anything from the UK, but yeah, if call your local representatives if you care about your local hobby shops and publishers. If you're in the United States, please do. That stuff actually does work. And finally in the news, we've got a story of a company leaving the UK.
Yes. What a surprise. Reaper Miniatures, a UK-based tabletop miniatures manufacturer, has announced it's moving its EU and UK warehouse operations to the Netherlands. The company is probably most famous for its line of Bones miniatures that provide very affordable, high-quality sculpts aimed at tabletop RPG GMs for more old-school dungeon crawl-style games. All orders from the warehouse will have ceased by the time you listen to this podcast. They expect operations to be back up and running by the end of summer, probably.
Woo, Brexit! Yay! Oh, no, wait.
The victories just keep coming and coming. We're tired of winning.
I mean, we may criticize the US government a lot, and we do, but also our government is terrible at admitting that Brexit was, just a terrible, terrible plan, terrible idea. It wasn't even Labour's plan, and they can't just say Brexit was bad. Let's just undo that because it was terrible. So many businesses have gone under because of it. Just absolutely devastating. It's horrible.
Well, those businesses need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps.
Yeah, get on it, guys. Just overcome those gigantic, well, basically more tariffs and things like that. Actually, is a relatively similar situation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, awful. Anyway, let's move on to a few jobs, opportunities, and events on our message board. So as always, we'd encourage you to have a look at the Tabletop Jobs Facebook group. If you are in the UK, Games Workshop seem to be on a hiring spree right now. There's a lot of Games Workshop jobs being advertised on there, all sorts of things from store managers to HQ positions. So yeah, just have a look at that. And we'd just like to remind you of Oliver's Raffle on his Tabletop Games blog. The Raffle is in aid of the Trussell Trust, a charity that runs UK food banks, which we wish we didn't need, but we do. Continues and it continues throughout June. Tickets are £1 and all proceeds minus fees go directly to the charity. The prizes for the June raffle are review copies of Katmai, The Bears of Brooks River, Death Valley, Highs and Lows, both of which are used but in very good condition, and a brand new copy of Pilfering Pandas. So yeah, do go and check that out. We'll put a link in our show notes. I would also like to give a wee shout out for our patrons. Thank you so much for continuing to support the cast, especially Kevin Bertram of Four Circle Games, James Naylor of Naylor Games, and Shaun Newman of the Game Lot team for supporting us to the executive level. We really appreciate that. You can join them for just $1 a month, and that gives you access to some extra bits and pieces of writing that I do on our Patreon. And there's various other ways to support us, either through direct donations or buying dice and things through Fanroll in the States. We'll put links to all of that in the show notes. It's been a bit of a light news week. We don't really have a sort of funny outro for you this time around, so we're just going to say goodbye for now.
Thank you very much for listening. If you like what you listen to, the best way to help us out, share the podcast, drop us a review and rating on your platform of choice. You can also follow us, Oliver, at tabletopgamesblog.com. We have a Discord where we're quite active on. If you'd like to talk to us about the podcast, you got a source of news, feel free to drop that in. We're always helpful.
Or just hobby stuff in general.
Yeah, hobby stuff in general. We're happy to talk. Not about politics, though. On Blue Sky, Iain is on Blue Sky at Giant Brain, I believe.
giantbrain.co.uk, and Oliver's on there as tabletopgamesblog.com as well, and Jamie's on there as Jam Sandwich.
I was going to say I can't even remember my own one, but thank you. On Instagram, we're at Giant Brain UK. We've got a Facebook group that we still use, the Giant Brain, sometimes. Our website is giantbrain.co.uk. You can find all the back episodes of this podcast. You can find a lot of Ian's writing, his reviews, his musings on games, and
philosophy, that kind of thing.
I think I've written one thing on there a long time ago. I was just
and a couple of pieces by my other podcast host, Nate Owens, as well. I've been writing a little bit for the site.
And if you'd like to drop us an email for anything gaming related, giantbrainuk@gmail.com.
And your anonymity is guaranteed when you email us if you do want to be anonymous and give us some information about something we should cover.
What Iain said. Completely agree. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. Take care of yourselves.
Take care, folks.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.